Are the Giants out there saving his job right now? Has anybody had a have they turned the page off Farhan, maybe turned over a new leaf, said, you know what, maybe he is cooking. Farhan Zaidi cooking. Can you believe? I can't believe I'm saying.
Well, here's what I would say. I don't know if he's cooking.
He's not.
But I'll give them this. In the same way that the Niners, everyone gets credit when you find Brock Purdy, but the reality is that it was random how they found Brock Purdy. Right? And a lot of things had to break in a weird way, but they get credit once they realized what they had and then pivoted off the other stuff. It's not the Giants' fault that a bunch of injuries happened and the young guys came up. Because I'm hearing a lot of people be like, well, the only reason they're up is because injuries. Yeah, that is the only reason they're up. But look what they've done since those guys have come up. They haven't yo-yoed them around. Ramos has played pretty much every day. Matos has played pretty much every day. You get credit for that. To me, you get credit for that. They're trying to figure out the shortstop thing with Wisely and Fitzgerald, and I'm sure Luciano will get another crack at it one more time, or he'll go down before Ahmed comes back. But this is a statement that I feel in my soul, and I want to know if you agree with me or not. I've had more fun this last 2 weeks, and I'll tell you why, than for the majority of the 2021 season. And I know a lot of people are going to point to the 2021 season and be like, all year they were prolific, and it was so much fun. There were moments that were fun down the stretch, when it started to crystallize that it was real. This just feels different, and the reason why it feels different for me is because it feels like they're actually building something fresh and new. Brandon Crawford having a monster year was amazing. Buster Posey reaching back and having a vintage season when he had been so bad for so long and so hurt. That was awesome. You're seeing the legends have that one last ride. But the whole time I felt like a hater because I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Whereas with this team, I don't know if they're going to be even as close to as good when it's all said and done as that 2021 team. But it feels like to me, they're taking these steps forward as an organization where it's we've got a little runway here. Maybe we're building something a little special. Maybe not just for this year, but for the next couple of years. And seeing the Ramoses and the Matoses and, Luciano, even though he's making mistakes, and Harrison and the Jordan Hicks signing and Chapman being the one veteran that feels like he wants to be a Giant. Everything is kind of coming to form here, and it feels different, and I've had more fun the last 2 weeks than the majority of 2021, and I don't feel ashamed to admit that out loud.
So thinking back to 2021, when we all started to believe in the Giants. Well, when I started to believe, I'll speak for myself here. So they went down to Dodger Stadium and had those crazy comebacks, right? Mike Tauchman with the catch to Rob Albert Pujols.
Crazy.
Didn't something happen with Posey during that series, too?
Well, he finally hit a home run off Jansen.
He hit a home run off Jansen. That's right. That happened in that same series. Then Tauchman had the grand slam against Texas. And then he wasn't on the team. Then he was gone. Well, he wasn't even part of the team in September. He was gone. And some of the biggest moments of the season came from Mike Tauchman. Remember that?
Yeah. The Bellinger throw.
So
high.
Right. It was so high. Yeah, Mike Tauchman was making plays left and right. Bellinger throwing it into the bleachers. Dave Flynn was like, what is he doing? Throw it to the 10th row. But I am having more fun because it's something new. It's just you kind of knew that Derek Ruff, there was going to be a shelf life. Knew that, Mike Krzyzewski, can he keep this going? Chris Bryant's just a rental, and he didn't play all that well with the Giants. When he was with the Giants.
I was excited, though, to have him.
So I was very excited to have him, and he actually was the one guy who hit the playoff series against the Dodgers. Posey had a bounce-back season, no doubt. Crawford was doing his thing platooning. Brendan Belt was playing well, but you kind of already saw those guys. The reason why we're having more fun with this team, because we haven't seen these guys before. And it's something fresh and new.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Kuminga. When he started popping, we're all excited. Jordan Poole a couple years ago, we got all excited about him because it was something new. With Ramos, Matos, and, Bailey. We saw Bailey a little bit last season, but Wisely, even Luciano to that point. It's something new. Hicks is something new. We didn't know who Hicks was before the season. Kyle Harrison, we didn't know what type of pitcher he would be, but it's fresh and new. Logan Webb is taking another step, right? We're still freaking out over Blake Snell and some of the bullpen arms, but it's all fresh and new. And you have the new manager in Bob Melvin.
Yeah.
And so 2021, I think we never really truly believed that they were going to be a World Series team. Despite winning 107 games, we felt like they're going to be underdogs in every single series that they play in the playoffs. And so we kind of knew what they were, and they had all the rallies, but it's just fresh and new with some young energy. That's all.
I feel like a hater, but like, yeah, I think there's a portion of the fan base, and I think I felt this way for a long period of time. Like, I was excited. It was a lot of fun, but it did feel, not that it was fool's gold, but almost like a mirage that whole year.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas this year, look, this 2 weeks might be a mirage. It might end up looking foolish weeks from now. But seeing the young guys who I've read so much about and have seen so little of, like seeing them make big winning plays over and over and over again, seeing a random guy like Brett Wisely, who I thought was nothing, come through over and over and over again, seeing Tyler Fitzgerald, be the ghost runner in extra innings after getting pinch hitting for Wisely and making the most of his opportunity, and Matos driving him in with a sac fly. I don't know, man. It feels fun. It feels unique, and it feels like we're at the precipice of something that's going to be, again, I don't know what it turns into, but it feels like they've got a little runway here. They've got some juice. In the words of Steiny, I think they've got a little action.
Oh, boy.
I think they got a little action.
Steiny could see. Oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I was going to say something. They could get us on all trouble. 650 Xfinity mobile text line. Hey, Bonte, lovely daily, but are the stakes high for Farhan? I've never been hungrier for a New York in my life over the last week listening to this show. Well, I'm going to tell you again, the stakes are high, and I'm not talking S-T-E-A-K. I'm talking S-T-A-K-E-S.
Oh.
Stakes, high stakes. And when you talk about all those things happening with the Giants, I think about Farhan Zaidi and where we're at with Farhan now. I know where we're at with Farhan 2 weeks ago, and I thought the timing was off. I really did. But when does the conversation pivot to, what, Farhan's not doing a bad job? Now, Solaire's not hitting. That's been a whiff. It's been a whiff. Blake Snell so far, it's been a whiff. Matt Chapman hasn't been a whiff. Jordan Hicks hasn't been a whiff. He finds pitchers. I mean, Jordan Hicks, I didn't know what the hell we were going to get out of him. Jung-Hoo Lee, gave him $100 million. I'm going to say right now, that's been a whiff so far. He's out for the year. It's not because of the lack of play.
It's hard to argue.
But you're not available.
Yeah, it's hard to
Best
argue.
ability is availability, and Jung-Hoo Lee hasn't been available. And he's out for the year. So right now, that $100 million contract, it's a whiff. It's a whiff. So far, Farhan's whiffed a little more than he's hit with his all-season moves.
What if I said to you, like, I'm not making any decisions on the future and all that until I kind of like see more from everyone, see more from the youngsters, see what happens when Conforto gets healthy, see what happens when Nick Ahmed gets healthy. Like, I want to see them get through the June swoon. I want to see them get through the trade deadline. What if I said I wanted to see more before I have any?
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's very fair.
Hard lines.
That's very fair. This is a great question. How do you factor the hiring of Bob Melvin into this new view of Farhan Zaidi? Was it the no-brainer hire? Was it Farhan Zaidi who hired Bob Melvin, or was it the Giants brass saying we just need a big boy in here? We need a pro.
That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, his name is on it, right, Farhan? But it does feel like Bob Melvin specifically sniffed the vulnerability in the Giants organization and was like, "Oh, they're going to go old school, or they're going to try to go old school."
Right.
And that guy's on a 1-year deal, Farhan, and I could slide in there. He just lost the war with the GM down in San Diego.
Right, AJ Preller.
If I had to guess, Farhan was on board with Giants ownership wanting someone more old school that the fan base would, with ties to the Giants.
Even though Farhan was the guy who hired Gabe Kapler in the first place. And he put his neck out on the line for him.
Yeah, I don't think that aged well.
No, it didn't. And then Kapler obviously took the heat, and he was the scapegoat for everything that happened. So Farhan survives, and with the way the Giants are playing right now, who knows? He may survive. Do you believe that if they make the playoffs, it's a no-brainer that Farhan's back? Because that's what everybody watch right now. We're thinking one playoff appearance since 2016 with this young team. And if the youngsters are contributing to the winning and the youngsters help you get to the playoffs, is that enough for him to keep his job?
But, I mean, like if I watch this team right now and they navigate the whole June, July, August stretch and they miss out on the playoffs by, let's say, 2 games, right? I'm just going to go 2 games. Forget 1 game, 2 games.
Okay.
But all the young guys show promise and he makes a couple of moves at the deadline to either free up spots for the young guys or, he cashes in on some sort of a big time player, but you still miss out on the playoffs. To me, that doesn't determine his employment status. Now, overall, I've been underwhelmed. But this year, the results have been awesome. And I tell you, like, I'm having more fun the last 2 weeks in particular than I had in years. So he does get credit for that. He does. And I think sticking with these guys, look, he could have easily gone different routes in terms of, like, they just had Drew Pomerantz that they acquired. He didn't have to be DFA'd right away.
No, he didn't.
I could easily see a scenario where Ryan McKenna, like 2 years ago, Ryan McKenna is getting more starts now, and Ramos is the one that gets sent back.
No doubt.
I think he's changed some of his
That's fair.
normal behavior.
That's fair. And he's had to, right? He's had to adjust.
Absolutely.
He's had to adjust.
And the results for Ramos have helped him stay.
But with that said, you miss out on the playoffs by 2 games, and this hypothetical.
Yeah.
You make moves. What if Blake Snell never materializes? Now, I threw out the numbers yesterday where his lifetime numbers post All-Star break, I had no idea. They're all sub-3 ERAs in the month of July, August, September. So he pitches his best ball when it matters the most. But what if he doesn't pad out? What if Soler never pads out? And what if, and knowing that Jung-Hoo Lee was a $100 million contract, and hell, we didn't know who Jung-Hoo Lee was before he got the $100 million. It was like, wait, we thought we were all talking Yamamoto and what's the guy in Chicago?
Imaga. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that proproperly.
Imaga.
Save that for mispronunciation.
No, save his.
Both of ours.
What is it, Lovin?
I think it's Shota Imanaga.
Imanaga. See, I said that.
Save this entire segment.
Well, no, now I'm going to look up how it's actually said and see how bad all 3 of us were on it.
So we thought those were the guys he was after. But and he signed some guy named Jung-Hoo Lee. We're like, who? KBO? Wait, he's coming off an ankle injury? What's going on here? Now, we've been cool because we were trying to love anybody.
Yeah.
But let's be real. Jung-Hoo Lee was okay. Wasn't great. How many times you see him run into a wall?
Yeah, but sports is different, right? So, for example, the Niners, they went into the season thinking Tevin Coleman, this is 2019, was going to be their dude, They went into it thinking that, Debo and Kendrick Bourne was going to be enough. And then as the season progressed, they pivoted, and they made different moves, right? Matt Breida was a big factor. Right. And then out of nowhere, here comes Mostert, right, in the playoffs. And who would have had Mostert being your, leading rusher in the playoffs and Kendrick Bourne being your leading receiver, but you acquired Emmanuel Sanders and Jimmy Garoppolo and the team. I don't know. Things happen. When I look at the Giants in 2010, they had signed Edgar Renneria to be their starting shortstop. He missed a lot of the year, and it was Juan Uribe at short. And then in the playoffs, Pablo, get out of here, put Juan Uribe at third, Renneria's back, Aubrey Huff's at first base, and oh my God, we got Cody Ross in right field, and Zito, your high-priced free agent, and Aaron Rowan, your high-priced free agent, are on the bench, right? So things happen, and you get credit for pivoting.
You do get credit for pivoting. You do. What will the people